Well, Mark Meirowitz is a professor of constitutional law at State University of New York and joins us live now. Mark, what do you make of Donald Trump's latest comments that these protests could have led to an insurrection if he hadn't taken the action that he took?
First of all, in order to call out the National Guard and federalize them as federal officers, he had to say that there was a rebellion. So I don't think it was correct to say that this Insurrection Act has to be invoked. He's already said that there is a rebellion. But what's going on here is high politics in the United States. I also don't think it's correct to say that California is just a blue state. Ronald Reagan, a Republican president, was governor of California. There's a lot at stake here. Now, remember, it's really a clash of titans here. It's Trump who already went into California to fight with Newsom about the fires in California. He came in to interfere with Newsom, who was completely incompetent in putting out the fires, and the mayor of Los Angeles, another incompetent, because obviously what you have here is not just an immigration protest. What you have, from what I'm seeing, is outright looting and destruction. We've had riots in LA before. And I think the president's point, and I think it's essential to understand that if you don't put this down in LA, it will spread, to your question earlier, to other cities. I think Mayor Adams and others have commented in New York that this could come to New York. If it's put down in LA, then it may not come elsewhere. If it's not put down, it's going to spread around the country. And I think Gavin Newsom, I've read his tweets, I've read President Trump's tweets, and also Elon Musk, which is an interesting development, is actually now supporting President Trump against Newsom, I think because he's trying to get back in good graces with Trump. So there are a lot of moving parts here. I mean, obviously, the courts will ultimately decide if the president can federalize the troops. But remember, in Trump's first term, he called out troops to quell riots in D.C. This has been done before. And as you also said correctly, he's campaigned on immigration. But I think that this is not just about immigration. It's really about lawlessness and a pushback against the president. And then there's a political piece. Newsom, Trump, the two titans, the two giants, Democrat and Republican, and the potential of Newsom becoming a candidate for president and running against Vance or Rubio in 2028. I mean, that's what's really happening here. Unfortunately, what we're seeing unfold on the streets of LA is complete lawlessness, looting, and disaster. And Newsom, in my humble opinion, and Mayor Bass are incapable of handling it. And I think it's just completely madness for Newsom to say, I don't need those federal troops. They're actually causing the problem. I think that is so completely inverted and bizarre that a governor of a state would say, I don't need help here, and in fact go away while these people destroy this beautiful city of Los Angeles, I think is crazy. It's not even logical.
Let's not forget that these protests, they started pretty small, only a few hundred people involved. They were peaceful to start with. Sending in the National Guard, does it not seem somewhat disproportionate? And this is coming from the man that failed to send in the National Guard to protect the Capitol building on January the 6th.
Well, you have a very profound point there. And I think that's a whole discussion about January 6th and what happened then. And obviously, that was a misstep, a tremendous misstep on the part of the president on January 6th. No question about it. But this one, when you say they're protesting peacefully, throwing boulders and spitting in the face, this is one thing that Trump talked about in his tweet. If they spit, we will hit. In other words, what the protesters are apparently doing is spitting in the faces of the soldiers. And he says, Trump, that's disrespectful and shouldn't do that. So it's throwing boulders, it's attacking, it's setting fires, but it's also plain, simple looting. I've seen it on the videos where people are breaking into stores and looting. And this is just violence, and it has to be stopped, because if you don't stop it, whatever it started out as, it's become a full-blown riot. And if the governor of California is taking the position that I really don't need Trump because I'm a political Democrat and I don't want Republican president helping us, just like he took the same position where he didn't want Trump's help on the fires in California, I think that is so much against the people of California, the people of Los Angeles, to protect them. It shows a contrary to logic thinking. You send the troops in, and you're the cause of the people making the looting and doing the fires. That, to me, I think if you study logic, it doesn't make sense. It is just ridiculous politics. And who are the ones that are going to suffer? The people in the city of Los Angeles and maybe other cities. If you don't stop
Mark,
it, if the courts say that they can't do it, a disaster will ensue.
Mark, thank you very much. Really appreciate your thoughts. Thank you for speaking to us here on TRT World. Mark Meirowitz speaking to us live there
It's a
from
pleasure.